at 1:15 p.m. Councillors, with your indulgence, we now have that extra information, so I'm going to ask if those councillors who've declared a PCOI and agenda item 335 could now please leave, and if I could also have a motion to go into closed session for purposes of discussion, confidential information relating to these tenderers. Those in moved Councillor Rogers, seconded Councillor Plum. Those in favour? 4-0. Can I have a motion, please, to accept the complying vendor panel applications as per the attached submission? Councillor Peoples, second Councillor Plum. Debate. Those in favour? 4-0. Thank you. I think we will now go to agenda item 1 on page 155, 361, Damien's report. Can I have somebody, I'm sorry. Can I have somebody please move that Damien's report be received? Councillor Arthur, second Councillor Plum. Those in favour? Carried. Damien.
Mr Mayor, the staff are actually just getting back into starting back from work after having a well-earned Christmas break. So also the Parks and Gardens team with limited staff have been very busy in both areas, in Jericho and Alpha. And the other only other thing that's coming up there at the moment is we've got the Alpha Showground users meeting scheduled for 14th of February at 4 p.m. at the Alpha Chambers, and that will be to discuss with the user groups with the LRCIP funding that we've got over at the showgrounds there.
Councillors are aware of that. If you'd like to attend as an observer or participant, I will attend, and Shane's are there and Damien, so if anyone needs a lift down from here, if Shane and I are going back from here that day, or maybe come with me, but you can go home, come with me and go home. 4 p.m. I put it a bit late in the day because 90% of the people that are on those committees have got a job. 4 p.m. might allow them to get away a little bit earlier, or if they're on the property, they can do a bit of a day's work and come in. Good timing, I think. We could go a little bit later, but good decisions are never made at night. And the thing is, if 4 p.m. is early enough that if we have a quick chat, or if people want to have a look at something, we can go over in daylight over to the showgrounds and have a look at the specifics. So, right, questions for Damien, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Damien, is there still a problem with the aerator down at the dip at the Gouted Alpha? Was there a problem with the aerator, or there's a problem with the dip?
Mr Mayor, I'll just have to find out that one with John and just check, because we've been closed there as well, just over that Christmas period. I'm not sure 100% that John's sort of just still trying to get it totally sort of working. So they've been trying a few things with it, so I'll find out exactly what and report back to council.
Did you think there was something? Sorry, did you think there was something, Councillor? There was animals, 2 bulls. There was three bulls. 3 bulls the other day had to do the round trip like they used to months ago. They had to be dipped 4 times to 5 times to stir the dip because the aerator was not doing the job. And I know that, I was there. And I just wanted to, there's been money spent there, and I just wanted to chase that up. Sorry.
Further questions for Damien? Can I have somebody move Paula's report be received? 371. Moved Councillor Rogers, seconded. Councillor Gleeson, those in favour? 7-0. Paula.
I received an email today from our contractors that are doing the Aramak pool, and they were on their way this week, but with the road closures they can't make it, so they will be here very shortly to start that job.
Mr Mayor, can I just, well, they're just working on the, they're not working in the pool, they're just working up on the
Splash pad.
splash pad area, so we're just going to close that off, are we?
The pool will probably close for a day or two while they do the shade sale,
Okay.
just for safety, but yeah, it won't be closed for very long.
Right.
I probably need some direction from the council about the horse paddocks, what you want to do there with the pricing. Yeah, it's a bit extreme, and for what it's not really value for money there at the moment, so yeah, looking for a little bit of direction on that project.
Let's have a more in-depth discussion at our budget meeting about that, because we had progressively indicated we might have been going to do more or whatever, so let's have a look at whether there's other options. Now that we've got pricing there, we're happy to, I'd be happy with your permission, council, as to hold what we do with that, because then we could bring a decision to another meeting to either abandon the project or to rechange the scope.
Okay. And just with the sale of the Aramac Bakery, the settlement's on the 6th of February, so new owners will take over on the 6th. It'll be good to see.
Very good. Questions for Paula? Oh, my question, sorry, that I had marked was Mullaburra. The Dakota, the supervisor's a bit concerned about the TV, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it just the Channel 7 Dakota it looks like? Do we need to do anything?
I think we'll just monitor it for now. I think we'll probably need to have a discussion in the budget meeting about all the TV places,
Okay.
Jericho and Alfred and Mullaburra and Aramac. So, could be a fair bit of money there to be spent if you want to go that way again.
Right. Questions for Paula? Okay. Agenda item 372, Paula, can you walk us through this, please?
Yep, so I've had an inquiry to purchase some land in Lord Street in Mullaburra. They're asking to buy 2 lots there. I've just asked in my recommendation that maybe the CEO liaise further with them, as further on in another report somebody else has also asked to purchase one of the same lots.
With that there, Paula, through you, Mr Mayor. So this fella here, I think he wants to purchase the 2 lots, but those other lots there, 608, 609, 6010, the second person could purchase one of those lots?
Now 6010, the other corner block, it's already sold, so it's 608 and 609 are still available.
Okay, so if that second person wanted to purchase something else, they could look at one of those lots?
Yes.
Yep.
Can I suggest that the resolution, if you intend to support this so we don't send the wrong signal, that council does not sell at this time 90 and 94 Lord Street? Which it just, is that what we're saying? Because we may down the track want to sell something.
Oh. Mr Mayor, I think we do want to sell them. The only thing that the negotiation needs to be is that there's a second person wants one of these 2 blocks. So if you could tell the second person that they could buy the 608 block, you could probably sell 3.
I'm going to have to beg your indulgence, council, as much. What's the other option off in a future report? Sorry, where is it?
It's the other land sale one.
Okay, right, sorry, I know the one.
Yeah.
For the box.
Yes.
Right, thank you. I didn't realise the address was the same.
Yeah, that's the only reason I've recommended that CEO to liaise with them, because they could potentially buy another 2 lots there. I don't know if they were really set on those exact 2. But there are another 4 there, or another 3 there that they could potentially purchase.
Right. We happy with the recommendation as is presented? Councillor Plum?
Do we need to say that we would like the CEO to negotiate, like to?
Have we advertised this box before?
Yes. I think that's what that resolution says, for the CEO to liaise further with the customer.
Well,
Would you take that that does want solar? Sort of sending a message we don't want it sold.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the words I wanted
You know,
to
and just take that, those 3 words out of it. Just the council
and
recommends
Can we
it
so would it be possible to hold this resolution altogether? The CEO doesn't need our permission to negotiate anyway. For you to do that back end of that, what's recommended there, and then bring to the next meeting, and then if we have to formally teach this, no, I want that, and we've already sold one by then, because we've got a resolution coming up. Rather than the negative, do we just hold that altogether? Do we just leave this resolution?
Yep.
They're in the decision.
Yep.
Execute the other land sale option if that's the intent of council in a few resolutions' time, and then we might have a different resolution to present at a future meeting.
And really, yeah, it's just the CEO to negotiate with interested parties, because it's more than one. We don't want anything. So you want a motion to leave that?
Bring it back to the table.
How long ago did we advertise it?
about 2 years ago.
Right.
Just check that when it comes. Yeah, I'll just bring it back to the table.
Okay. The motion is that we defer the decision until further consultation occurs with purchasers. Do I have a mover? Peoples, Councillor Peoples, Councillor Hanson seconds. Debate? Those in favour? 7-0. 373. Paula?
Just following on from Jenny's resolution from the last council meeting with the portable toilets at
Now,
the
Mr. Mayor,
recreation
sorry.
park.
Oh, sorry, Councillor, you are 2373, yes. Okay.
Yeah, we're hoping this will be the best way to move forward with that, with providing toilets to the recreation grounds in Manawa.
So the idea is we purchase that and then use Council Carpenter with assistance to construct.
Probably a private contractor, Mr. Mayor.
Right.
It's a bit cheaper to have a contractor over there than our carpenter from from Barcaldine, driving to Manabara.
Okay.
Depending on if we get another carpenter on staff though, we may use council carpenter.
Right. Yeah.
What was the budget for this one?
100,
Sorry.
roughly 100.
Roughly 100, yeah. Same as the other one. So we've got $48,000 without needing to expand the budget to construct. Councillor Peoples moves. Councillor Hanson seconds. Debate? Yes, Councillor.
He was agreed.
Those in favour? It's the second time today, 6-0, bring him back in, please. One in, one out, Debbie. Okay. Very involved report here with some detailed submissions. Paula, go to you as the presenting officer first, your thought.
The Manabara Reuse Recycle Committee, this festival is held about every 3 or 4 years, depending on weather and stuff. A different committee runs it every time the cycle comes around. They're asking for quite a lot of assistance in a short period of time. Yeah, you can see my recommendation there. Yeah, council can decide what they want to do, but they haven't, the committee hasn't really suggested who's going to supply the poly pipe that's needed to go around the whole of the town to water plants that they want to plant, or who's going to provide the plants even. Yeah, I just think it's a big ask in a short period. But yeah, happy to assist them with whatever we can. Maybe look at a stage effect rather than, we need everything straight away.
So your recommendation here is to stick away from the cash side and stick with the in-kind, lay the poly, grade the track and provide the haul, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, councillors, it's in your hands. FYI, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, Mr Mayor, there's 4 kilometres of polythene, plus fittings and outriggers to each individual tree, however many.
In terms of a similar event that was held a couple of years ago, council provided $5,000 cash.
That's right, Mr Mayor. Yeah, so they've only provided 5,000 cash with no in-kind support
Last month.
last time and the time before.
That's right, there was 2. So this request is for double that and double that again when you add all that poly pipe. Oh, unless they're going to provide the poly pipe. But that'll be a substantial cost. I mean, it wouldn't be 63 mil, but you've got to use what? At least 1.5 inches. What's the standard poly pipe used in Munnabara for garden ring mains? Oh, 1/2 inch, that's right. Okay.
Going around 4K, you'd have to have 1.5 or 2 inch.
To keep the pressure up unless you use multiple inputs to it, I would have thought so, yeah.
That's substantial cost, Mr Mayor, and that's not really referred to in their application, like who's going to supply that.
Mr Mayor, I'm happy for the waiving of the fee and to quickly grade a track at this stage, but I agree with District Manager Aramak that we probably need a bit more information about who's supplying the poly, or even if the trees, and I'd be happy with this, like $10,000 is getting up towards a budget item. We've got smaller budget items in some, and it would have been nice to, I don't know how long this has been in the pipeline for the committee or the event. But yeah, I would have been happier to work with the poly and that under a budget item. But more than happy to go with, as I said, the Memorial Hall and a quick grade, as long as we can have some sort of plan so that we're not redoing work.
Just on the timing, I saw a Facebook post about this perhaps before or after I saw this come in early in December. But has anyone from the QCWA reached out to you to talk about it?
No, not directly.
This is the first you've heard about it as well?
It came in late November.
Late? So
And
it's
they-
too late for the December meeting.
Well, it wasn't at the time, but I requested their form,
Oh,
request for assistance form,
Yeah.
and they delayed on that for about 3 weeks. And then,
Councillor Plum.
Mayor, it doesn't say here, but I'm hoping that they're incorporated so that we can maybe steer them in the right direction of receiving some grant money. Like getting them to.
Well, is the sponsoring organisation the CWA, is that right?
The request is from the QCWA. Yes.
As a,
The request for assistance is from QCWA Munnabara branch.
That's all right.
But the correspondence comes from the festival committee, the way I read it.
Yeah, that's the way I read it too. Not, yeah, so, I mean, traditionally over there, we'd see things like this from the MCDA, would we not?
Yeah.
Yes, Jenny?
Thing I was thinking, that, you know, in the correspondence, that tourism and in the
Resilience
grant, that
strategy.
was, I wondered if it, you know, if we look into that, would it fit into that grant funding?
I think that earlier thing from my very high level read of it is resilience against natural disaster. So that's like if an event's traditionally rained out, how do you improve your facilities to stop it being rain affected? So a racetrack to turf, Camp Draft Oval to crusher dust instead of clay. That's the way I interpret it. Car parking areas to be sealed instead of unsealed. But it would warrant investigation, definitely, but I think that's what it is. Did anyone read it and have an alternative opinion?
That's how
Councillor Gleeson, yes, I did hear your voice before, sorry. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we were having a discussion about this before. Have a walkway around the town in Aramak, you've got to go across the highway twice. Does that come into play at all with any of our decisions? At Munnabara? You know, yeah, at Munnabara, there's 4 kilometre walkway around the town. In that 4 kilometres, it's got to go across the highway twice. Does that come into consideration while we're...
Well, there's lots of things that come into consideration. I think as the District Ranger said, it's a big concept, big project. And as Councillor Arthur said, there's probably some pretty serious budgetary concerns, and then there's the ongoing operational concern. We put in this irrigation system, we're going to have to maintain that irrigation system. It's drips and leaks and everything else that goes with it. Then the walkway track, I'm just trying to see whether there's anything here.
The representation is...
I might have something that you don't, sorry Councillor, that's all.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was going to share with you. It was only emailed to me this morning and I've been trying to chair a council meeting all day. Yeah, no, it doesn't map the walkway, it's other unrelated incidents, so yeah, sorry. Like it's indicative of what style of thing is there, but it doesn't have it's not overlaid on a map showing you where the street or the highway would intersect it, so. Yeah, no. I think we've got the opportunity from the officer's recommendation here to support without committee is the other thing. We need a bit more involved understanding what this all brings.
It's through you, Mr. Mayor, it has got here the council provides and installs an ordering system. So they're actually asking us to provide polypipe in there as well. Seeking outside funding for tree planting.
Which is the cheap part.
I'm happy just to go with the 5,000, Mr Mayor.
The grading of tracks probably not that complicated thing. I mean, yeah, you've got, but there's footpaths alongside the highway and that too, Councillor Gleeson, is it there? You know, like us grading a track around the town just serves as a big fire break anyway, so.
Yeah, just that was the question.
You walk across Parramatta Road if you're in Sydney, so it's not
Yeah.
6 years, mate.
I run, but yeah, some people will.
No, I can't see the road. You should have.
Just that was the question.
So are we suggesting we pull back the poly? Or are we comfortable to suggest rather than providing it, we're happy to lay it, let someone else buy it? So if we grade the track, you could actually lay the poly at the same time. You know, we could do that. Is that what we're suggesting? Look, yeah, we can do some of the physical work to put the dripper system in. Do we want the dripper system there? Like, it's kind of, is that what, like I'm asking, I'm not saying I don't. Does council want this big ring main of the town of Muttarborough, especially essentially what it is that right? From the way I interpret this.
Without a bit more detail about how much feed, like how many points of feed and how much, what size poly, and it's very difficult to make a decision, Mr. Mayor, because if you've got half a dozen points that you can isolate and feed into it to keep that pressure, otherwise we're going to have to end up running 2-inch poly and then step it down to irrigate, and then the cost goes up.
Then maintain.
Just a million of them little joiners, or there's a little reducing end connector or nipples that they go there, $8 or $10 each.
And over a 4 kilometre distance, how many trees and dripper points need to be installed?
Yes, I know.
No, that's what I mean, like, there's just not enough.
So what was, what was the $5,000 previously planned to be for? What was it? Just for prize money, I believe? Prize money. So who's going to maintain the whole?
Come back to us.
Will be us, because it's going to be installed in our land, so it'll be
I probably, Mr. Mayor, haven't got a problem with the recommendation. Assistance just for laying the poly,
not providing it.
not buying it. And the other thing, you know, I know we think about the future and what's this going to cost us, this poly and everything, but I do think it's probably something that we as a council will probably end up doing in all of our towns, something along these lines. Back walkways around them, and I think it's something that's going to come. But I think I'm comfortable with the recommendation there. You could either do that recommendation or say we'll give you that or $5,000 cash, I don't know.
Well, I think the recommendation doesn't exclude further contribution down the track. The biggest contribution here will be the laying of poly. That'll be the biggest cost item here. They do indicate here that they're happy to discuss. Narelle, Jenny and Paddy are happy to discuss. So perhaps we resolve to do this today as a first step, and then we reach out and ask that committee to meet with us, set a time, date in Muttarborough, obviously facilitated by Paula and Shane, but those of us that can be there, we'll try and make it a day to go, because this is a big thing proposed here. Like, I guess normally council probably gets approached and have a discussion through these things before decisions required, you know, like a lot of these questions could be answered. So if we indicate that we go somewhere around that and hold all the cash out, including the big dollars of the contribution of the poly and 10 grand, but when we've had a chat with them about this more, we may be more inclined to say, okay, well, we'll have that as part of our next event budget.
And the other thing there that sort of surprises me a bit, you mentioned it earlier, Mr. Mayor, is the MCDA usually apply for these sorts of things. Where's their involvement in it?
Not involved.
But I agree with sort of the recommendation, also what Councillor Arthur said, you know, it's probably a budget item, trying to do the lot, but if we grade the road and if they come up with the poly, we put the poly in and wave the field and ball, I'm probably comfortable with that.
All right, do we have anybody who's opposed to the resolution as it's presented, or would prefer to see it amended? Councillor Peoples is in favour.
Couple of further questions, Mr. Mayor.
Certainly.
Do we have like the assessment from, like, as a community green? Like from our policy here?
Filled out the application. Wasn't in a lot of detail.
No, I think on the application.
In the policy, we've got criteria for rating community greens.
Yeah, no, Mr. Mayor, I didn't do the assessment because it was coming to council.
That's for the district managers under their allocation.
So, say again, Paula, did you get it or not get it?
No, I'm supposed to do an assessment when I get these forms, but I didn't do an assessment because it was coming to council. consideration.
You wanted us to do the assessment.
But does our policy differentiate in that? It just says each application for assistance will be assessed by applying the following criteria. It doesn't say that ones that reside with the district managers get it and ones that come to council don't.
Fair point. This one's in front of us now though.
Yeah.
I can probably tell you, Mr Mayor, just by looking at it, probably get about an 80 score. So it doesn't have, most of them fall down on supplying their bank statements. And usually the rest of them all score highly because they, support the community and support businesses.
We didn't get a bank statement this one.
I can tell you though, from the CWA's perspective, they're not allowed to have money. They're swiped every month or quarter by CWA Queensland. So this would be one organisation that would have almost no money in the bank. None of them do. Hence why they struggle for numbers every week. A lot of hard work goes into these stalls and cake raffles and whatever happens, and then all their money gets sucked into CWA Central. But in a lot of cases, they're not put together for making money, they're more social. Especially some of the ones that I've been familiar with are more about giving a social outlet. So anyway, Maureen, you said you had another. Yeah, that was one question. Did you have another?
Oh, just the bank statement. It's not ticked or supplied in the.
No, it's definitely not ticked. Councillor Plum, what are you inclined to think? What are your comments on this?
Well, I'm quite happy with the from the idea, but I would like to see maybe some support given to them as to how they can move forward by applying for some sort of grant assistance. Help them.
Great. So you're happy to move forward with this as presented?
Yeah, but we give them some support or whatever for them to go and get some assistance as well, like every other organisation, mostly organisations that we have this coming from us. We try and get them to do a little bit more.
Councillor Gleeson?
I support the motion. And also, as Councillor Plum said, go back to the committee with the, have a meeting with the committee and maybe able to assist in some sort of grants, grant writing or whatever. But this here proposal is not going to cost the council a fortune, and will definitely be assisting in some way.
Councillor Hanson?
I'm sort of happy to have that resolution. Same as Councillor Gleeson and Plum, I just think further communication with the group, further project.
Councillor Arthur on concept?
Like I said, I'm happy with the hall fee and the grading of the road. I probably would have liked to have depending on the size of the poly, how long that's going to take, just so that we've got a ballpark figure. But yeah, I'm not going to die in the ditch over it, Mr. Mayor. But yeah, happy to meet with them, and even if we have a look at where some water pipes are and mains and that, to be able to connect to it, so we can have a better idea of how much that poly is going to potentially cost, and even just the number of trees. And because ideally you don't just want a graded track, at some stage you want some sort of walkway of some sort other than just walkway. Like if the project was to develop into something long-term and really meaningful for the community. But as District Manager said, it might be over a couple of years and a bit of a staged approach to.
The poly to me doesn't seem relevant to the success or otherwise of an annual event. Like, that's more of a town beatification process to complement the statues or sculptures that are made through the competition. Like, they've kind of gone a wide gambit, catch-all, let's save Muttaburra type approach here. Like, that's something that ordinarily I would have thought would come out in community consultation. Someone in the town would like this, now maybe that's what they're attempting to do, but it's not really the event, is it? Like, there's a whole suite of information here, but this event, I suppose the sculpture walk concept is because they want the event to be annual, they need to have somewhere for everything to go, I suppose, and it all just seems a bit muddled. Perhaps not very clearly presented from, well, not the officer's fault, you've only repeated the emails, but maybe they've confused the two issues here. Like, they've got their event that they want to promote and they need cash for, and then they've got their thoughts about how the town can be dressed up, but that perhaps.
Mr Mayor, we're putting the cart before the horse. Do you want to go and have the meeting and then come bring this back to us after you've had the meeting?
Oh, that was kind of what I was thinking, especially with the poly walkway. Like, if they're only going to do, are they going to put everything all the way around the whole town in year one, or can we do
Walkway and then the poly?
and then, or even the poly? I mean, I know it's cheaper to do everything in one go, but like, do we do a kilometre of poly this year and a kilometre next year? Like, or do we have to do it all in what's there? How, like I think we don't know what we don't know here. Paula doesn't know what she doesn't know even in this case. Like, we're going blind into is this all focused purely on the success of the Sculpture Festival, or is there, because there's a lot of stuff referenced in here about, common purpose, maximise benefit, all seems really almost political rather than, what are we doing here in terms of what's in the best interest of the community and how can council work closely to associate that? The first line of the letter to the CEO sort of went, ooh, urgently request support. Hang on. Like, you urgently request support when your road has a pothole in it. Like, if this is a meaningful event that's going to really step up and help the community of Muttaburra, I would have thought some more meaningful, constructive dialogue with council prior to putting your hand out for $10,000 and multiples of tens in polypipe and in-kind assistance and some consultation with us would have been the best way to go about this. I think it's very unstructured and perhaps not intentionally so, but I think we need to know more, because we may be being a bit harsh in our assessment. If we knew more about what they were planning to do and the exact locations, we might say, yeah, we're going to put 8K polypipe in for you. But it sort of seems like a lot of decisions being made here for the community of Muttaburra and all councils being asked to do is finance it. I think we need to probably talk to the community as well as the people involved here and see, do you want to track all the way around here? Do you want all these sculptures and trees and polypipe? But, we've come under sustained pressure as a council for not consulting the residents of Muttaburra, especially over their street beatifications. If those councillors were on the last council would be aware that we had to consult until we were blue in the face about 3 times and we still got the street design wrong. I think if we broadly commit to this here, we run the risk of doing the same thing again, running off in what seems like it's all good, but does the broader community of Muttaburra know about this? Next minute we're putting a pipeline and planting trees and it all seems really innocuous, and we don't consult about where we plant trees in any other community either, I suppose, but
There's a bit more than that.
look, this has the very real potential to do exactly what they're saying. Like, this could really step Mullaburra up and become a really exciting festival for a small community and really pull the place in from an appeal point of view, but I just think there needs to be a little bit more thought and understanding of community equity and understand how council's obligations to maintain all this, including the sculptures, you know, like we've obviously in the past had to undertake safety audits of the sculpture trail and undertake a bit of rectification itself. What engineering safety components are going to be applied to these sculptures that are placed in a public place?
And who's going to maintain them if they start falling apart?
There is reference to the quality of the materials that have got to be used, admittedly, but yeah, there's a whole... I'd be happy that the motion read that I'm clearly the minority here at this stage, but I'd be happy that the council agrees to assist the committee and defers any specific decisions until we meet to determine actual requirements and broader community consultation.
I'll second that.
Mr Mayor.
I was happy with the fee waiver and the quick grade, so
Councillor Blessing.
No, Mr Mayor, when I read that again and I just thought to myself what a mess there could be if you jumped in a grader and drove the blade into the ground, 2 foot into the ground and went around Aramac, ran inside that fence. You run into the water lines going to the racetrack, you run into the water lines and the sewage lines going to the septic works, you run into the water lines going out into the common, you go and run into the water lines going to the sale yards, and nobody knows where they are or how deep they are. You'd major problem. So I would definitely take the grader out of it. Thank you.
Plus the interaction with the fence, like the community's very happy with their fence over there. I get predominantly it's good feedback. We don't get any anymore because there's no roos left, but predominantly the thought. So
the other thing too, Mr Mayor, is when you lay the poly pipe in, if they want to put drip resorption to all these trees and having that here, do you hold your grader up while they're putting those fittings in and then cover that and then go on to the next one? So it might take a bit more time than we think too.
and can you trench it, can you not? And what's going to happen to the walkway if one of these strippers gets a bit of a leak, and is that then going to mean your walkway's a bulk hole? Is it inside, is it outside the fence? Where is it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Paula.
No maintenance
Sort of thing.
I think Paul's okay.
Can we just put there, but defers the specific decisions? Very delayed today, isn't it? I know this will probably come across that I've sunk it, or I haven't sunk it. I think I've really admirable thought that the community group here, the CWA, and Narelle and Jenny and Paddy have put together, and obviously Jenny's an individual with very broad experience with how councils work. But I just, I think we need to have a better understanding of what Jenny's thoughts are, and and the rest of the committee's thoughts are. So, all right. Those in favour? Against? Carried 6-0. Thanks. I think the Deputy Mayor might be on a very tight time frame, so we can invite her back in, please. We'll start this. Nurses' quarters, Paula.
The Mullaburra Dr. Arata Museum Committee, I think they're just looking for some direction on what the council wants to do with the nurses' quarters, whether they want to let them use it or they don't want to let them use it. They're just looking for some direction on what the council actually wants to do with that building. I think it was brought up at the community consultation, some ideas that they had.
Thoughts? Following our community consultation, I think that investigating the viability of this doesn't commit council to anything. We look at the propensity of that community group to be able to support it, should we give it to them. We look at are we condemning the poor group by giving them something that's going to cost them an arm and a leg to maintain in terms of insurance, upkeep. It's really just, it's an act from council to kickstart a process to see whether A, that community group really wants it, can they afford it, is it going to be, and what's its usage? Does it have any use for council? What's the land tenure issues? Can we actually even do that? Or, which I know Paul has done a lot of work on back when we were considering actually leasing it to a private, or selling it to a private individual. So we've got some of the answers. This is in no way a committal resolution to me. It's only a statement that we're prepared to work following the consultation in Mullaburra's request to look at what we can do with that building. I'm comfortable that we proceed in this case, Councillor People.
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable.
Councillor
I agree with you, and like the Museum Association's quite successful with Osborne, so there's no reason they wouldn't be.
It's only opening up for further discussion, Mr Mayor. It's
And, you know, it gives it, if we go into it, do a building condition assessment and show that to them, you know, eyes wide open, all their cards up on the table, they can say, well, that's a cost that we're probably not prepared to pull on, or, yep, no, yeah, well, we can do that because we've done this and let's do that, like they look for storage, so, yep, Councillor Gleeson? Yes. Hanson?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with this, Mayor.
Right, those are, mover for the resolution, please. Councillor Rogers, seconded Councillor Gleeson, those in favour? 7-0. 376, you've got a busy month, Paula.
I have.
That's it, work the holidays. Righto.
Had an inquiry from Western Game Processing in Longreach, looking to purchase a block of land in Mullaburra to put a chiller box on. And he's got some conditions there that he'd like council to agree to, and one of them is that he can hand the property back to council if for some reason it doesn't go as well as planned.
Handed back but not bought back.
Hand it back in the what's Mr. Mayor?
Not bought back, we're not going to give him $4,000 back.
No, he
Just surrender the land.
Surrender the land. Okay. And handed back in the condition it was found, not left with chiller boxes left all over it.
No, he'll take those, I'm sure.
Right.
Mr Mayor, can we really progress that resolution when we've decided to defer and discuss the other one? The previous?
Which is a different block of land.
No, I think the other one
that's
was
the double
because
one.
it is the same one.
Because it was 606 and 607, and this is 606, which is the corner block, which I would understand would be more suitable for a chiller box operation.
My thoughts to deferring the other two was to allow this one, because this has been in the works for how long? How long have you been negotiating this?
Oh, quite a while, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, months.
Yeah.
Longer than you've been negotiating, or we've received the offer from.
Oh yeah, this has been a year he's been trying to set up.
So in the interest of we've been working to do this for longer than we've been working on the other one, so I thought this one took precedence perhaps, but
Well, would that not place it higher or first in the resolutions to work through it?
in terms of the way we agended it, yes. This one, there's been it could be more than 12 months more, I think you're right. Be nearly 2 years. Yep, I'm happy to do whatever you wish here, I just probably need to discuss the conditions as much as the resolution. If you're keen to do something here, are you comfortable that the resolutions are fair and reasonable to council? And if you'd like to have a discussion about it, I can go into closed session. It does require, if you require to be confidential.
Mr. Mayor, there is electricity right there and they're ready to go.
No, it's not.
No electricity.
Yes, because that's why he's keen for the deposit to be paid, so that he can start processing. Are we in favour here, councillors? Are we happy with the conditions? Are we not happy?
Just one question, Mr. Mayor. Enlighten me a little bit, please. This has been going on for a couple of years, I would think. We, as a council, moved to freehold some land down behind the recreation area for this sort of thing. Is that a different company, is it, that we're looking at?
It's the same company, Mr Mayor. But, that freeholding's just been held up. And this is the next option.
So this is the next option to quicken the process.
Yeah, he's tired of waiting as long as he's had to wait because of town planning issues or freeholding applications mainly, like that. We've still got no time frame on those things that we've,
I'm 100% for it because I've been crying for it for a long time, not crying, but they've been asking and pestering for a long, long time. And the roo shooters over in that country, it's not right that they drive 80, 90 kilometres every morning, twice a day to deliver their kangaroos to Aramac. So the sooner we can get a box in, registered box there, the better. As long as it's legal that they can do it in that vicinity of town.
historical process. Then there's a DA thing that it'll be a code accessible application.
No, it's not code.
It's impact accessible.
It's a different state. It doesn't have to go to the community.
Sorry.
It doesn't go to the community.
Yeah, so it's code accessible. Yeah.
Was this one of the sort of positions, there was about there were three different places like they were given that would be suitable like this? Is this one of them, or one of the areas that would be suitable?
Yeah, it wasn't in the original 3 that we chose, because that was a different company.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the next best one.
Yeah.
It's out of the way. It's down the end of town. Doesn't cause any issues.
I'm happy to move this motion. Anyone else?
It's there and agrees to the terms as stated. I think that we should put in those terms that if he relinquishes it, that it comes back to us and how we proceed.
Sorry,
Just
council.
in the agreement of the terms as stated, I think that we should put in, when we write back, and if he's successful, write back and tell him that in our terms, that the land has to be, when he relinquishes it, it's go back to how we purchased it, you know, like that sort of thing.
Condition aside.
Yeah, the condition sale. Whether we put that in there or whether we put that in whether that would be successful.
I mean, I think that is our expectation, but if we had power connected to it, we wouldn't want him to disconnect the
There's no
service.
power to it now, so,
Yes, but I mean, I'd like the power to stay with you.
yeah,
I thought
that's what I mean,
council.
like, if we say revert to current condition,
Then
that
we
would
tell him
mean.
to take that away. Mainly, the big thing I'd want not to be left there is 3. Sorry.
Clean and tidy.
Yeah, not 3 old tardy falling apart chiller boxes left there.
That's
Well, I was-
Like if they pay for water to be connected and the septic or whatever, then that's.
That can
But
stay.
the,
I think you understand here that what we mean in terms of left in a tidy and reasonable condition if the sale is to be, the hand is to be,
It's not in this.
land is to be handed back.
I'll second that.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Rogers, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to consider process here because I haven't yet got to Councillor Arthur. Councillor, I want to go back to the process here.
no, on for the development, I've got concern, like, because the previous resolution, like, just in order, we've deferred it, and I understand this has been in the process a lot longer, but on face value, it looks unfair because we've deferred a previous item and then decided to roll with it. I'm all for helping the industry and the wild game chiller to happen in Murray. It's just that process that I.
Mr Mayor, we only deferred that previous resolution because we had other people involved.
I'm happy for whether the record reflects it in writing or the record. I mean, I thought my intent behind asking for the deferral of that or supporting the recommendation to just not sell but defer. Like, if we had followed the officer's recommendation, we would have said no to them and yes to this, which would have been okay. It was out of respect for the fact that we thought there were alternative options, and I think it was Councillor Hanson and others that suggested the language to do not sell may have been construed as negative, plus the fact that this was coming. So it's probably an agenda process thing more than a statement of our priorities. Can we go back to the resolution?
I'm not against selling all 3 blocks or 4 blocks or 5 blocks.
No, I didn't think it would be.
Yeah.
We're down there.
And the purchaser may be happy to buy the 2 blocks along. And financially, for a single block, the ladder resolution is a better result for council because
It's one for
per,
four.
per block it's more money. And at this stage, we have a known entity going in there that benefits the community. Whereas we don't know what the proponents of buying the 2 blocks is.
And to be fair to them as well, I think it would be beneficial for them to know that there's a very strong possibility, or in fact, certainty, if this resolution goes, there's a chiller box goes there, so whatever they had intended, that landed before may be incompatible in their mind with a chiller box. Like if they want to build a house there, for example. So I'm comfortable the right outcomes happen here. I'm cognizant of your concern around the process, but I don't think there's anything, it's perhaps irregular, but I don't think we're out of order.
No.
If we're out of order, should we consider 372 before 376? Probably that's it. And because for all the reasons you've outlined, I think the best outcomes occurring financially for council, for the good of the community, as Councillor Gleeson and you have both said. So I don't think we're out of order. So notwithstanding that, we have a mover and a seconder for the resolution. Do I have any debate against it? Those in favour? 7-0. Is there a 7? No, there is not. 381. Can I have somebody move Jenny's report be received, please? Councillor Plum, seconded by Councillor Rogers. Those in favour? Carried. 7-0. Jenny.
Just a couple of things. The town hall floor was to have commenced this week. They've had some delays due to his offside being away, so that should start next week. The swimming pool upgrade, I've received some information this morning about putting together what the requirements are. Just got to provide the contact with a few more details, and we should have something for that to go out to tender. The landscaping at the rec park about using the recycling of tyres, I haven't received any response from the department, so I'll try and give them a call to see if it can and can't be done. I've just made a comment there about the timber inspection. Found all the schedules, got all that together, and it's not required in this financial year, but we have got some pricing for the CCTV camera at the Globe, which is around $10,000. So I was just hoping in our budget reallocation meetings that we can reallocate that budget, which was 25, and utilise some of it toward that CCTV cameras at the Globe. Just talking on the Globe, getting down to the Tourist Information Centre, I've just received emails today from the tourist officer. There is a smashed door up in the gallery. It's the door that goes from the main gallery to that second little gallery. It's quite shattered and broken. I can share the photos with you all she sent through. But the other big issue, and it's ongoing, and we have those bird scares there, and with it being closed and no one around, the mess upstairs is terrible. Yeah, the photos that the officers provided. I don't know what we can do. We're going to have to do something up there. It's just too hard to keep it clean. And when you look at one of the photos, in particular that she sent, on the top of the stairs as you're walking up, the mess is terrible. But I'll put them into a compressed file and share them with you, because I've got about 6 emails with them all on. But yeah, it's not nice up there. So, and that's ongoing.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, that was an internal door that shattered, that glass internal door.
Yes. I emailed back and said, which door is it? I was picturing it was the one that was near the kitchen. But
I would have thought out the front as it goes.
No, it's not. It's just, it hasn't got the frame around it. It's just the glass one with the handle that goes, because I was looking at the hanging rails that I could see in the picture, but they're the hanging rails on one of those mobile units. Yeah.
So how would that smash?
Well,
Pressure.
Is it still upright?
Yeah, but there's some shattered bits on the floor. I can share it to you right now.
Well, I did notice when we were up there for that morning tea, the bottom of that door did catch. And maybe someone's applied some pressure there, because it'd be eliminate lumps. That's what's held together, but maybe that's the,
I'll just show this. And yeah, it's quite shattered. Yeah.
While that's coming through, any questions for any other part of Jenny's report? So, Jenny, I had a meeting as well today with the president of the Buck Calden Racing Club.
Yes.
And he showed me the plans that you've referred to here for the new photo finish tower and said, oh, what's the process? And I said to get in touch with you and the office here because the development application council would need to lodge one on its own behalf. Or have you already done that?
No, because we were waiting for the plans, because I don't know if they were changing them or they were still going with the one, from what I gathered, they were changing the plans from that conversation when the people from Queensland Racing were out here just before Christmas, and it appeared that they were going to be changing the plans, so...
They changed them to almost the carbon copy of Longridge, I believe.
Yes, I think that was the one they were looking at, yeah.
And so I said to the president to get in touch with the office that we need to lodge a DA and go through that process. They're looking at doing it in their aim for construction for that is the back end of the year in the 4-month wait period that they have between races. So they said it'll either be then or the very end of the year, just because they know that it can't happen in 5 minutes.
Yeah. So this, it was staying in that same site, but it'll depend on what the area of the base is now with that new one, because the last one was
it's very similar to the existing footprint.
Okay. Because the last one was that one from William. That was the original one that they had made application to install.
So, and the other thing was the reference to the safety fence. There will be a continued conversation with council, but the club has further matters to discuss with the contractor, and then they'll come back to us with a position on that.
Okay, because we met over there just before shutdown, wasn't it?
it was.
We met with the two representatives from Racing Queensland. We met about the fence the day before with the new club president and vice presidents. There's now 2 vice presidents, I believe. There was a second vice president going to be.
Darren, Dean, who's out here and up.
Anyway, that's
so
you'll see more about that shortly.
And the other one, the rec park, I still haven't received that report from Marine Safety Queensland following their visit here in November. The signs that they were ordering have been received. I'll get those installed when the start. I've just come back to work, so I'll get those installed. And the trees all are doing very well down for the Queen's Jubilee. They're all growing very nicely. So
this weather will get them kicked right away now.
They're doing really good. I went for a drive past there Sunday when I was doing Meals on Wheels.
The green belt's coming to 4 there as well. Any further questions for Jen? Create 2. One expression of interest returned. You support the recommendation here, Jenny. Any questions from councillors?
I would have preferred more money, Mr Mayor, but considering we only had one interested party, I guess that's...
Yeah, I like the fact that they've actually offered up front to do a bit of stuff like grading and fire mitigation, and that I thought that was, they could have had an expectation on my landowner, which obviously we wouldn't have done, but at least they've offered or indicated that they'll do that. Yeah, I thought it'd be worth more. I genuinely did.
Or even garnish a little more interest than a sole
I suppose when you get the market as it is, the market dictates, so it's either this option or none realistically, so, yeah, I'm with you though, I agree, but it is what it is, 2-year period, $1,200. Is it payable up front? 12 months and then.
I'll discuss that with the, if it's approved, I'll discuss that with the successful applicant, whether they want to do it in upfront or, 12 months at a time.
All right, do I have a mover? Councillor Gleeson, seconder. Councillor Plum, debate. Those in favour? 7-0. Central West Rugby League, request for assistance.
Mr Mayor,
Councillor.
I'm going to, I think I've got to declare COI there.
Because of your grandchildren?
Because of grandchildren playing in that side, yeah, so I'm going to declare and I will leave the room. I'm not coming back, I've got to go.
You're like the honourable members from Western Australia in the other house. You're now creating disturbance late on a Thursday so you can get booted from Parliament and then catch the first flight home.
I have got a grandson plays in that. That's all, so I will leave.
There's actually one generation removed, so you actually don't have a prescribed conflict of interest, councillor.
Oh, that's debatable, Mr Mayor.
Could
Not
be,
debatable at all.
could be argued that the close associate, I'm on your side, Gary, I'm arguing your point, that the close associate of said councillor is the one that derives the benefit, not the child.
Unbelievable.
There's not player manager or something.
Nah, be flattening and watching them play. Righto.
I'm happy to move this.
Councillor Ross.
I think if we can assist young junior, there's a lot of junior players and they're from all over, like, not just here.
No,
They get a lot of benefit.
they're from Jericho, Aramac, they're from all over the patch.
And they're really, yeah.
No, actually, I totally agree. I think in the budget, we just doing a bit of homework with other councils, it'd be good to, this is for structured competition travel, I know that's a bit different, but I think it'd be good to put our mind towards considering a small fund to assist people who travel for higher honours in cultural, sporting or academic endeavours. So if somebody's selected from the Barcaldine Regional Council area for a Central West Swimming on touch, we
It's
can
similar to the education bursary, that if you go to a certain level,
Yep.
then you can apply for some sort of funding or.
And probably in this one, the only difference would be you might pick winners and losers. You might just have a bucket and everybody who ticks the criteria is eligible for some sort of assistance. And it would be the same if children, like, I know they still have statewide spelling bees, they still have Tournament of the Minds competitions, they still have art exhibitions. So it's not limited to sport. Obviously, sport would be there's a lot of reason to travel with sport, but there still is with that. So this obviously is slightly different because this is a one-off donation for a whole club. But I think that's probably the next level. We've pulled back we've changed focus in community support for activities for clubs because they have capacity to generate, whereas in our approach here, we're actually directly assisting children, young people, and as you're right, councillor, they're probably their parents actually. We're helping them financially, but we're helping them with the opportunity, so it's a double-edged sword. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Hanson, I've got through a whole year of not doing it, and I just did it in the first meeting.
And you were looking straight at me too, Mr Mayor.
Is there any opposition?
No, I'm not opposed, Mr Mayor. Do we know if the other councils, areas that provide players to that Central West have been asked for or are intending to do the same?
I believe it's in the application that yes, they had approached other areas.
It says business houses. I don't know if it says local governments.
Because I know a few years ago before this term, didn't the combined councils, as in Longleat, Blackall, Winton and Stark-Hawthorn, put money in to Central West for whatever it was?
Could have done. You'll defer to your superior memory.
That'd be for maybe 5 years ago, Mr Mayor, so. It probably does benefit in particular, the Barkey Regional Council more so than the others. I think we have the majority of players in most of those age groups.
Okay. Well, that's it. Seems pretty good. I'll ask my fellow mayors from Bourdieu to Winton to Longridge to Blackall whether they are putting in or not. Because if they haven't been asked, I might talk to Charmaine. They may have this same letter. Councillor Rogers has moved. Who seconded?
Hanson, second.
Councillor Hanson seconded the motion.
Instead of unrest, it was quicker.
Those in favour? 6-0. Questions on notice? Answers have been provided. Councillor Peoples is not here. Councillor Arthur, response is not in the scope. We've had discussion with this regarding waste management. There'll be ongoing discussion around that. Hopefully it gets raining in the very, very short term. A week or so's grace to get some gates and people there with the key and lock and key. You're about to run out the door. Do you have anything quickly you want, Chris? As an answer? No. Thank you. Councillor Plum. Questions on notice? Councillor Arthur.
No, Mr.
Mr Mayor, I want to ask a question, and I don't want Councillor Arthur to leave the room. I've had...
You might not have any say over that, Councillor Gleeson. Last time I checked, he's a free read and I'm actually running this show, so...
You're one of my maybe.
Just want to, I've had a couple of phone calls regarding our decision, and I'm saying it's our decision, but it's TMR decision.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that. I will declare and leave.
Landsborough Highway.
Yes, on the corner of approaching the railway line.
Sorry.
I didn't really want to delve into it. I just wanted to ask, just to get advice to those persons that rang me. Should they contact the CEO, or I know they probably should contact the CEO, but it's out of our hands. It's TMR, isn't it?
No, yes, but no. We're actually the ones making the decision to close it, but we have been requested as a condition of assessment for the renewable energy zone that happen. So we could choose not to, but it then would affect the approval of the renewable energy zone at a statewide level. I have spoken with the reason Councillor Arthur's left the room. I have actually communicated by text, with Michael Horman from Michael Horman Transport, one of the most disadvantageously affected businesses. I indicated to him what I had already started with the regional director of TMR about how we provide alternative type 2 road train access. I got last week advice on how to do that. What the quickest and most expeditious way to do that is by direct application to the NHVR to change the road train route. So because of all of this flooding, that was something that I had hoped that Chris and Shane and I could sit down and do Monday last week. To the best of my knowledge, it doesn't even require a decision of council. Something a road manager can request of NHVR to gazette a strip of road. I haven't had a chance to fully decipher it, so I'm providing that without prejudice, but the answer is access will be maintained, even if it's under a temporary permit arrangement for Michael and his business and those other businesses around him, until such time as we can make that a permanent gazelle. So I did indicate that to Michael before Christmas, that I was working with TMR to get that done, and I have been, and I now have the answers. So it's up to Shane and Chris now to just make it happen, and they'll do that in consultation with Michael to work out what the best route is and what the minimal impact is on surrounding businesses and what the best street for us, the easiest turns, all of that will be. So I think we've got the solution. It's now just a matter of putting it in place.
Thank you.
The 1st of February deadline may not quite be reached because we're still waiting for signage and a few other little things, and obviously it'd be nice to have this in place so that Michael doesn't have to worry about temporary permits.
Thank you.
I'm happy for you, this is all on public record, happy for you to give Michael a ring and have a yarn to him and say that you've raised it. That's my answer, and as soon as these gentlemen can address it in writing, they will.
Yeah, Michael was one of the phone calls, as well as some other persons down there.
Yeah.
And it just so happened, and it may be slightly different, obviously it would be different. It just so happened that only a few days after the meeting that I was driving a road train going into Billawheeler, and they've got a truck stop halfway around the bend, and there's a double white line for about 400 metres before the bend, and then there is no lines whatsoever for about 20 metres where you can go straight across the double white line and get in the parking bay at Bill Wheeler. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, yeah, something not quite right about some of these decisions.
Area about his smoke stops. They won't get his stop
They
taken.
might run out of line light paint, and they're coming back.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Tomorrow.
And I'll be in Thursday,
Side
we'll be
of the
here
road,
Thursday.
go down,
Debrief at 10 o'clock.
and you come in
And for the,
on the western side of the building.
Honestly, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's on Bill.
all right, no further questions on notice. Meeting closed.
I just need a mover and seconder for the December
I'm
report.
running out of the quorum here. Someone going to move? Councillor Plum moves. Councillor Hanson seconds. Those in favour? 4-0. Come in. We're only receiving a report. All good. The questions on notice. Now, do you have some questions on notice? No.
You can put that back to forward and the deeds back in.
No, well, he wasn't in when we voted, so keep him out of it. Because Councillor Gleeson's trying to throw him under a bus.
Or a road truck.
Or a road trade, that'd be more accurate. All right, thank you all. Meeting closed, 2:35.